we have done. So we'll be in the morning class. Actually, the thing that I thought to complete it could not, because many things, many discussion come in and many doubts and all get started in between. So it took time. So similarly, I have to take only those part which you have done in the morning session. That is the issue with this section thing, as you know. So we'll finish this class by 12. Let me first know what all you have done. A small recap if you can do, that will be great. So any of you has done something in this last 7 days? You've opened
Yes,
and
yes, sir.
tried.
We have done the new course of dimension IDs, then in row IDs, column IDs, names, all of those we have done. Then we have done the structure, data structure.
Good. Anything else?
The subsetting and accessing the elements.
Okay, so you did that, you tried that, or you just telling from whatever they done in the class?
I did try.
Very good. What all you have tried? Can you tell us?
Sir, I was doing it with the iris data only. I was practicing what was done in the class individually myself.
So what the things that you explored or learned by your understanding?
So from that, we got to know that how to extract the first observation of the sepal length or different petal length, how to get the data and various elements like how the first observation of any of the specific row or column, how to get, and accessing the 10th or any other number, how we will get it. So I was just practicing those.
Very good. Very good to know that. Let me ask you something quickly. Tell me the code. Can you tell me how to get last 4 observations of iris?
Yes, sir.
Quickly tell me the
Iris.
code. Yeah, quickly tell me the code. I'll write.
Sir, iris.
Iris.
Square bracket.
Square.
C.
C bracket.
150.
156 to 146 to 150. 146 is to 150.
तो इसमें तो 5 हो गया. Anyway, so complete the code.
तो सी नहीं रहेगा अगर हम लोग रेशियो में रेंज ले रहे हैं तो
तब भी एरर नहीं होगा, चलेगा. सी रखोगे तब भी चलेगा. बट यू आर राइट, सी जरूरत नहीं है.
Comma.
कॉमा
Then blank.
1 to
Space.
4.
Control enter. Okay, very good. But this is not 4 like you 146 to 150 में 5 आ जाता है. Good. So, but you could have simply tell iris comma 4. So, but anyway, fine. So you have explored something. Can you tell me how to extract only the last column?
Sir, iris.
सर टेल आइरिस वन
क्या टेल आइरिस में कॉलम कहाँ से आएगा?
Square bracket.
टेल इज फॉर ऑब्जर्वेशन. टेल आइरिस 1 पे ओनली द लास्ट रो आएगा. आज आस्किंग द लास्ट कॉलम. कैसे करोगे?
Sir, iris.
हाँ बोलो.
Square bracket. Space. Comma. Then in inverted comma we'll write species.
That is good. But this is all the thing you saw in this vector format. Fine, fine. So good to know you have done something. So we'll be learning something on this concept today, descriptive analytics, or sometimes people call this as descriptive statistics. So basically our analytics thing include, first thing is obviously the data capture. Once you have the data, you want to see what is there in the data. You want to describe the data. So basically we want to describe the data. That is something that we are trying to understand in next 2 or 3 classes. We'll do that. Then once you have described it, you will go to predictive. So that is not obviously we are doing in this course. We'll be doing in the next all analytics electives. But this is good to know till this point. So I'll quickly try to cover up some of the things because this is important when you are having, or maybe you are going to internship, you'll do basic things. If you want to apply this hard or statistical things, then you can do that. So whatever we are learning till now, that also comes with a very helpful thing to work smartly with the data. So we will basically overall you think in this with the mind that in this class we are going to, or we are whatever we are learning is related to this. So many times those are not structured way because there is no such very straight thing. Yeah, this is only fitting to this discussion. I'm not like to do that. We can have any doubt, we can have come up anything that we can discuss that may be diverting to from this entire thing. So that is all okay. So suppose I'll just ask, can we remove a column, remove the last column from the data set? How to do that? From IRIS data frame. So here you can simply do this IRIS $species. This is the last column, right? The last column name case, so we'll call it as a column name, so that will be better. Instead of saying the last one, we can say this IRIS, this species column. So हमारा ये था species column. Now you see, I'll just assign null to that. I'm just saying null to this. मतलब मैंने उसको null assign कर दिया. So what it is making here is, if you now check the data IRIS, तुम अगर type करोगे, you will not have this species information. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
तो इस पे क्या हो रहा है? We are able to remove the column that you do not want. Any other thing you do not want, just उसको भी assign कर दो. So suppose you want petal width, you do not want, assign कर दो null. Or else suppose there is a data set of some 20-30 columns, you want some specific columns out of it, and you know how to do that. Some suppose, अच्छा, first of all, if you now type IRIS, that species is gone. अब क्या किया जाए? How to get that back?
Sir, 1 minute. Sir, when did you write ID's $spaces equal to null? What did it come in the console section, sir?
Console में कुछ नहीं आएगा. वो assignment कर दिया ना. Whenever you are assigning anything, you will
No.
just only see that code.
No, sir, when I am doing that in my device, it is showing the same.
You will only see the code, na?
It is
Yes.
only showing the, yes, sir. Then it's okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Any assignment line पे कुछ दिखता नहीं है. It's just run the line. Whatever is there in the left, it store that. And if you call later, then you can see that. Yeah, so question was how to get that IRIS thing back. This species is deleted. But then this is not a great idea, how to get it back there. Okay, so you do one thing. If you just type head or IRIS, you will come to know that this species is not there. So देखो, this is not removing the variable or data from the parent or from the installed data set. वहां से वो remove नहीं कर रहा है. So what it in fact doing is, this iris is created a copy of that iris in your local environment. वहां पे वो copy किया है and it is doing the things on that. So it's not doing anything to the existing database. Are you all understanding what I told now?
Yes, sir.
तो हमने क्या करेंगे, just call a function called rm. So I'm calling a function called rm. rm is for remove. rm iris. तो मैंने अभी हमारे local environment में the data set that we have, I just removed it. Ab now I'll call that iris again. So now it will call from the parent data set. So now we have the species again. Is that fine? Hello,
Sir,
hello.
if we want to remove 2 columns at a time, then how we will do that?
2 columns at a time. The one basic thing you can just assign किया था dollar space equal to null. You can simply put iris dollar petal length equal to null. But if you want the remaining column, you can simply write as you have done in the last class. You wanted some first 3 column or specific some second and fifth column. So you can anyway access that, right? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So first of all, you can assign, suppose you want first and last column. So क्या लिखूं मैं? How to get the first and last column? Access the first and last column. What should I write?
Iris square bracket space comma. First column is sepal length in inverted comma.
Okay,
और
so I can also write this
Yes, sir.
C15. ठीक है, तो ये मेरा आ गया फर्स्ट एंड लास्ट कॉलम. तो मैंने अगर उसको असाइन करता हूँ नल, क्या हो रहा है देखो. सो इक्वल टू मैं बोल दूंगा नल. So I'm assigning the first and last column as null. So now you check what is happening remaining to the iris data set. Do you see both are gone?
Yes, sir.
Was that your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, तो तुम्हारा question भी लिख देते थोड़ा सा. How to remove 2 columns. Okay. Anyway, so again we'll remove that iris. So because my data set is gone, so now I'll call again whenever I need. So that will do my job. So this is a very basic level. We have done that. Now one more thing to know here. What are the column names? What are the column names of the iris data frame? How to do that?
Names.
So names जो था, names was okay, but names is not a great thing to use here. This is again fine. Again fine, you can do that. There is also a function called call name.
N column.
N column is for number of column that you have. If you just type n मतलब n column is of, it will show you 5. But हमारा, I would like you all to know this. There is something called call names. This is helpful because many a times ये जो names है ना, this is only applicable for this data frame and on the top. This is not creating a proper vector. But if you type this call names of iris, so it will also give you, and it will give you all sort of things in a vector. Both are similar, but many a times it's useful to use the call names function. So similarly, there is something called row names. अगर हमने यहाँ पे तो row का नाम कुछ नहीं है, so it will automatically, by default, it has taken 1 to 150. So these are the row names it's showing, but this is very default thing. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
So this is how to access the column and row names. Row names के लिए maybe it will be useful to show you some data set. There is a data set called empty cars. empty cars. अच्छा ये मैं दूसरे सेक्शन पे तो नहीं बताया. It's okay. You can take just 2 minutes, spend 2 minutes, look at this data. What is there in this data? Tell me. If you can just quickly tell me how to find what is there in the data.
So name of the cars.
No, name of the cars. Yeah, that is the only thing you have in the data. I'm asking you, this data sets consist of what? And I'll give you 2 minutes. I'll tell that quickly. Are easy.
Sir, all the functionalities of the motorcycles or the
What do you mean by functionality?
functionalities like the gear shift or
The details about any particular cars.
details. Yes, sir.
But when you say detail, then it's a very different thing, na? Details can be anything. Chalo, so chalega. So I don't want to spend time here to just like to know nitty-gritty of that data set, but by looking at it clear very quickly, you can see that. But I was expecting you should have told me this.
Vectors are different
right.
vectors.
No, you should have just told me this. Question mark empty cast, तो ये help file में खुल जाएगा. तो ये सीधा बताएगा what are there in this data. So this is like data extracted from 1974 motor, whatever, blah blah. And these are the data frame with 32 observation and 11 variable. So like you told, the discussions are the some attributes of the cars it is showing, but there are 32 observation only. If you look at in this particular data set, first of all, it's a data frame or whatever, how will know that?
Sir, help or question mark empty cars.
उस पे तो वो तो आ गया, ये data description आएगा. So I was asking how to know its type.
The class.
Class.
Very good. Class of empty cars type करेंगे तो दे दिया data frame. Now look at this first 6 observation. हमने जो iris देखा था, first 6 observation of iris and first 6 observation of empty cars, इसमें difference क्या है बताओ? Head, iris, first 4, head, empty cars, first 4. और यार, हाँ, मुझे ये दोनों में difference क्या है बताओ? Some structural differences. I'm not asking you any fundamental thing. Data देख के बताओ. नहीं. Look at the thing and some structural part. If you can make some comment.
Sir, in the iris, it is in the rows, it is only 1, 2, 3, but in the empty cards, it is written the names, that is Mazda RX4, like that.
Good observation. Good observation. So here we find row names are mentioned in this data frame. In empty cars data frame, and those are nothing but the car names basically. तो अब हमारा काम पे आएगा. I just want to say row names of empty cars. That is like you learned today. So these are all the row names. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
फाइन. तो चलो हम उसको ऐसे ही कुछ नाम चेंज करना चाहते हैं. हाउ टू डू दैट? अच्छा ये तो ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. कॉलम नेम्स कैन यू चेंज? कैन यू चेंज द कॉलम नेम्स? बिकॉज समटाइम कॉलम नेम्स मतलब क्या है? दोज आर द वेरिएबल, राइट?
Yes, sir.
तो ये इज अ गुड थिंग टू नो. Can you change the variable name? Sometimes the names that you have in a data set are not very great self-explanatory. So how to change that? So first you know this call names of iris. अगर मैं बोलता हूँ तो it gives me this 5 names in a vector. Yeah, I'm just giving you some hint. I'm just typing some code. Iris मैंने 1 लिखा, just 1 लिखा. See what you see now in the output.
First variable name.
सर इक्वल टू पे कुछ असाइन कर रही मैंने.
तो हमारा क्वेश्चन वेरी गुड श्रद्धा या someone is telling. So suppose point is let change the first variable or sepal length to something like this sepal length. क्योंकि वो कैपिटल डॉट डॉट मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता है. So let us how to do that now.
So call names iris
Call name.
1.
Call names iris 1. ये तुमको पता चल गया. हाँ
equals
बोलो. Equals.
Yes, sir.
Less than then
Yeah, assignment. Okay.
सर.
less than
Assignment operator.
sepal length.
Sepal length. कैसे लिखूं? Right, direct sepal length like this.
Square bracket.
Inverted comma, sorry, inverted comma.
commas.
Perfect. Inside the quotation. Okay. Control enter. You do not see anything because obviously this is an assignment operator. You can also write equal. No problem in this case. Now you type call names of iris just to check. क्योंकि हमें check करना है ना वो change हुआ कि नहीं. Call names of iris. Do you see the change?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So this is how you can change.
Sir, is there any difference between double inverted comma and single inverted comma?
No. I think I have told in the first class there is no difference.
Okay, sir.
So call names of iris now you have changed it. So basically it's always good to know all these small things. You should rather explore all these things. Now we'll do one thing. When you go to, like I told you, descriptive. So basically descriptive statistics means we want to describe the data. What is there in the data? This is the first thing that we should do more intelligently. यहाँ पे लिखा था, we want to describe the data 462. So whenever you have a data set, the first thing we should do with a data is check the structure of data. So how to check that structure? The function for that is, or whatever. I am writing something str of iris. So now I'll ask you some question. What exactly I'm writing here? This str, this may be representing what? In
Data
terms
structure,
of,
sir. Structure of the data frame, sir.
no, I'm not asking the output. I'm asking the style that I have written str. This could be representing what? A vector, a function, a loop, a array, matrix. What is that str may be representing?
The function.
Very good. This represents a function. How you are able to tell that, Gautami?
Yes, sir.
How you are able to tell that कि this may be represent a function?
Sir, because function को हम short form में लिखते हैं. Sir,
नहीं. That is
तो
not.
सब फ्लो में वो सब फंक्शन से.
ये सर कलर से कुछ है.
Sir, because of
कलर तो वो तो हमारा इसमें ऐसे सिलेक्ट किया हुआ है तो कलर अलग हो गया. तुम लोग अगर नॉर्मल आर पे लिखोगे तो चेंज नहीं होगा कलर. तब कैसे पता चलेगा? कलर तो यहाँ भी है. ये डिजिट, ये ब्रैकेट का येलो है तो किसको बोले फंक्शन?
So you can find about the function in the help box.
नहीं, वो तो about the function अलग बात है. That obviously it's good thing. What you are telling is good to know that you should always put help because presently you do not know what is that str. So always make it a habit to like write help करके str type करो. So you should do that. That is a good thing.
Yes, sir.
What your
Sir, I have
friend
put a
is-
question mark and written str, so it is showing in the help box over there.
Yeah. So that is my favorite way. I write like that. So str. But मेरा कहना था कि how you know it is a function.
तो जब ऊपर str लिख रहे होंगे वो शायद दिखाएगा कि नेक्स्ट वैल्यू क्या है वो तो उससे पता चलेगा कि हाँ फंक्शन है.
So because
तुम
we are
STR
giving an
लिखोगे।
input input.
Yeah, you are giving an input, correct? You are giving an input. But similarly, if I'm writing here iris bracket mein, here also I'm giving an input. I can write something 100 to 110, comma. तो ये भी मैंने भी कुछ input दिया.
Because but this bracket is different, right? So there is we're writing square bracket, but here we're writing normal bracket.
Good. So all of you must. I am just waiting for this answer. Anywhere I have written a function, you'll see the open brace. This call names is definitely a function. Row names is definitely a function. There is a function which is giving me the rows out of the data set. Class is a function anywhere. So this can be a question to you in the interviews. You can simply, people used to ask, yeah, so what are functions that you know? Can you tell us that you have used in R? So these are different functions. So it's always good to know as many as function possible. So this str is another function, and this function represent obviously the structure. ये क्या हो रहा है? Low system resource may affect your audio quality. Try closing some applications to improve performance. Is my audio okay? Dear all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So maybe something is happening to the laptop right now. It's okay. So we'll anyway finish by next half an hour. So this is one of the most important command, like I have written in line number 498. Whenever you have a data set, try to check कि इस data में क्या है. Check the structure of data. तो इसका अभी run करते हैं. Run करके देखें. Now you take 1 minute, then you start telling me what all information you see here. Take 1 minute.
Sir, it shows all the content of the iris. Means it's data frame, what are the observations and what are the variables associated with iris.
Done. If done, just tell us what you have found
Sir,
out.
it shows the factors. What are the variables? Which it means R treats it as the factors.
Okay, that's a very not very satisfactory answer. Can someone tell us what all you see here?
Sir,
So
it
the
shows
five-
all the content of the iris.
Content. What do you mean by content?
Means what are the columns and what are their values, respective values, what are the total number of observations.
Starting from first line, tell me what all you see. First, it shows what is its type.
Yes, sir.
Then,
What are the total number of observations
right.
and what are the variables, total
Good.
variables. After that, for each variable, what are the values?
For each variable, what are the values? Is it, or can you make it more precise?
Sir, for example, the first variable is the sepal length and its respective value like 5.1, 4.9, 4.7 respectively.
So it's trying to show you some of the values. Basically, it try to print 10 values. So
Yes.
nearly 10 values from that variable it print, but बीच में और भी कुछ बता रहा है. Sepal
It's the
length.
type.
Good. So it's also showing what type it belongs to. So whenever you have a data set, so I was asking you type this command first. How this will be helpful to analytics persons is you will come to understand what kind of different variable that you have in a data set. So there may be numeric, there may be string, there may be character, but the last one, have a check on that. Many
Yes, sir,
of
that
you
I was
may have
having the
issues.
doubt for the last
Yeah,
one.
that is okay. That is very common. So many of you may have. So let us discuss something on that. So all of you, at least by this point of time, are okay with this data set. You all know this data set very well. So what do you see in this data set in the species variable? What do you see there?
Sir, its type is factor.
Factor.
I'm not asking that. I'm simply asking what do you see in the species data set? The iris data set, what do you see in species variable? Have you tried to see that data set at some time? और ये क्लास में बात कर लिए बस हो गया. Can you make some comment what is there in the iris data set with respect to the species variable?
So one.
क्या one?
So value
So-
के लिए one है class में.
क्या value one? Don't come to this structure output. I'm just asking very basic question. When you have this iris data set, what do you see in that data frame below the variable called species?
Sir, it's dividing the factor into 3 levels, that is Setosa and
Why you are still in this mode? Why you are still in this mind frame? कि इधर क्या हो रहा है? I'm again and again I'm asking कि don't look at here. Just tell me what is there in the data. You are still telling यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Factor इसी word पे ही पढ़े हो. When you first time saw the data set iris, what do you see in that variable species?
So in the data frame, the first 50 observations are of Setosa, and then 50 observation of versicolor, and then 50 are of Virginica.
Excellent. Excellent. That is the information you have. Very good. Now, what kind of data type it may be? At least you are understanding it may not be numeric. It's not numbers. So what could be the type, data type?
character.
Character.
Right. So as of now, we can understand this can be character, or you may tell this is a string, but there is a catch. When you tell it a character, actually R is not storing this iris, this species data as a character. अगर character होता, suppose I'll tell you, or you are just reading a novel, or you are just getting some website link. So those are characters. Means those are not repetitively used informations. Some information that you are just holding it or storing it as the string. Just wait. I don't know why I'm hearing some sound. Fine. So those are called characters like you have understood. So you read a novel and you want to put it in some data format, you'll store it as character or string. But this kind of information, these are repeated informations, means these are data types are some sort of qualitative data, obviously, but these are categorical data. You all know that. Iris species data are categorical data. You all know that or not? कैटेगरिकल डेटा बहुत जगह पे तुम लोगों को बोल दिया होगा अभी तक फैकल्टीज ने in your starting from starts class, you must have heard this word categorical many times, right? No?
Yes, sir.
अब
Yes,
इसके
sir.
लिए out. So when some of you have the thinking that this analytics is programming, here is the problem. Please remember analytics is 30-20% programming, 80% concept in statistics and applications of statistics. Categorical data बोलते हैं अगर you are not happy or you are just feeling uncomfortable, then this is not for you. So obviously there are something called numeric data and something called qualitative, where there are something called under qualitative, there is nominal, there is ordinal. What do you mean by ordinal?
So having some order or rank.
Very good. Can you give an example?
So like first, second, third.
First, second. Okay, good. So some positions or percentage or grade, you want to divide the students' performance into different grades. So those can be order. Even if you are saying A, B, C, D, all these things, but they have some meaningful meaning between them. So those are order. That is called ordinal, from order. You all should know this at least by default. This is not related to analytics. This is your starts thing. So now this is anyway not ordered, but these are categorical. So this R, whenever this data frame is created, the person has stored this data in the form of category. So like someone told correctly, these are Setosa category, then Vasi color category. Like this, there are 50 data points or observation. So this R has stored them in category. But यहाँ पे we see some new type. हमने बोला था यहाँ पे तो type भी दिखाता है. So now it is showing factor. So what is that factor? The point is, what is that factor type shown in the structure? This factor means that any categorical data that is represented as factor in R. Is that doubt clear? Categorical data you all know. Now any categorical data is noted as a factor in R. Is that understood? As well as in Python.
Yes, sir.
तो ये उसको बोलता है factor करके. So let us first understand, let us create a factor data. तो कैसे create किया जाए देखते हैं. Write just factor. So I'm just writing C. Suppose your favorite, suppose I'll ask some 10 of you to just note what is your favorite game, outdoor or indoor game. So you started telling me, okay, so my favorite is Ludo, someone is tennis, someone is some cricket, then और क्या है, और गेम क्या है?
Badminton,
बैडमिंटन.
chess.
वेरी गुड. तो ये सब बोल रहे हो, then obviously many of you might have similar thing. तो तुमने this, तो ये सब तुम बोल रहे हो. This is what I found from 3, 7. चलो और तीनों का लिख लेता हूँ. फिर से आ गया मान लो टेनिस एंड लूडो. ये आ गया हमारे टोटल प्ले टेबल टेनिस मान. So I have created something called a factor variable or data point, and this is I'm asking many of you, so I have to combine. So this is how I'll create a data set under a factor. तो मैंने control enter किया. So all this data point obviously it is showing, but something extra it shows. What is that?
Levels.
क्या हुआ? You are just looking at the output and telling me what is there.
So the extra thing is it is showing labels, that is Ludo, badminton, chess, means the unique things it is showing.
So
Unique
basically,
games.
it's one unique thing, correct? All those type, basically all those categories. So those categories are by default named as labels. But इस पे ये लूडो 2 बार क्यों दिखा रहा है? Can someone tell me मैंने कहाँ पे गलती किया हूँ?
वो लूडो के फर्स्ट लूडो के पास पीस एक है.
Very good, excellent. So you should be that much of detail oriented when you are coding. तो ये देखो जैसे थोड़ा सा भी अलग लिख देते हैं वो उसको एक नया वेरिएबल समझ लेता है. तो इट इज क्रिएटिंग एज ए न्यू लेबल. गलती में टेनिस का अगर मैं लिख दूंगा NI तो obviously it will create another label. So you can check it here quickly. Just see, it has created another label called tennis. So because it's not matching. So this is how this R will store the factor variable. One more thing, can you notice in that labels something? I do not want to tell it so that at least your brain can exercise something. Can you think what is happening in that labels?
So alphabetically, it's like taking like badminton B, then C cricket, ludo.
Very
then-
good. Very good. So these are lexicographically maintained. So when you say lexicographically, as you see how this will be positioned in your lexicograph or in a dictionary. So that is how the alphabetically it is ordered. So what it will do, it will actually, when you have, suppose you imagine a data set where you have some data, worldwide population data, and every day some this COVID time going on, some affected information for everyone, or forget COVID. So this population data and worldwide population data you have. Now you have this country, let's say out of 150 countries, you have data and you have per capita income se leke different demographic information you have. Now imagine R will store all these country names again and again and again. So there will be some, let's say 10 crore data point. 10 crore data point है, तो every data observation will obviously attach with a country. तो country name अगर ये repeat करते जाएगा India से लेके all sort of these characters, so it will take a huge memory. So what they do actually, they create that obviously label तो बन गया. So now they will do encoding. This software will do some encoding for the labels. तो ये कैसे स्टोर करेगा? बैडमिंटन को 1 ले लेगा, चेस को 2 लेगा, क्रिकेट विल बी 3, लूडो विल बी 4. Likewise, R will store in its own database. वो समझ जाएगा this is categorical or this is factor variable, but it will store it as like code 1 2 3 करके स्टोर करेगा. फाइन. यहां तक एनी डाउट है? I have told you we are going slow and steady. Slow means I'm trying to like reach all of you, and steady means will not go back. Whatever we are learning now, you can ask me 10 times. एक बार इससे हम आगे चले गए, you should not ask whatever you have done earlier. That is steady. So tell me. Any doubt here?
No, sir.
Fine. So this coding ये करता है. तो we'll see more practically ये क्या coding करता है. Now we'll go back to our thing, str of Iris. Now look at this thing, because this Setosai, Vasikara and Vajinika, those are factor. So it has written factor, and इसके label है. So 3 labels, factor with 3 labels. Now see this thing. What do you mean by this one now? Can you explain me?
So the one is for the Setosa and like likewise the versicolor would be like 2 and the Virginica will be 3, I guess.
That is good.
So those are
But
encoded for the variables.
right, right. तो ये सारे 1 क्यों स्टार्टिंग में दिख रहा है? 2, 3 ये भी तो होना चाहिए था, किधर गए?
So like first 50 observation was for the Setosa, that's why.
Good, good. So all of you, please understand, ये जो दिखा रहा है, this is showing first 10 observation. तो first 10 तो obviously Setosa ही है, so it will show 1 for them. So this is how you should first do the basic understanding in our data set, like what is the structure of it. So this will give you the type, what kind of variables are there, and what are the basic data points that you have. Basically, you see are the 10 data point, you see is there any big problem, big changes are there, or what sort of range this data has. So these all informations you get here. Now there is one more excellent thing. Get the summary of the data set. Summary of data set का meaning क्या है? Summary of individual variables in a data set. So that is what you can get in very small code. Just type summary of iris. So I have called a function called summary. This is a generic function. You must remember this. वो तो remember तो हो ही जाएगा gradually. So I'm just writing summary of iris. What do you see here? Tell me. Take time and tell me what is there in the output. This kind of things you cannot get it in Excel in such fraction of seconds, where here whatever the number of observations and variable you have, you'll get in fraction of seconds.
So it is giving the minimum, maximum, mean, median values of each columns.
Okay. Any other trial?
Yes, sir. It is showing column wise. What is the minimum, maximum, first queue, median, third queue?
What is that? First queue, third queue.
So is it quarter?
First quartile and third quartile.
Quartile.
Achha. Oh, good. You know all this thing. Very good. So it's individual variable wise. It's trying to show you the summary. The summary of a data set, basically a variable. So basic information you can get it. This species का क्या बता रहा है? Why it's not showing this mean kind of thing for this species variable? But then what kind of summary it is showing?
It's the total factors. Means
Since that is a categorical data, there cannot be any mean, right? Categorical data cannot have any mean. Yes or no?
yes, sir.
Mean, median, उनका भी mean, median होगा क्या? Cannot. So it's just showing the count of each type. So how, instead of this also, let me tell you one function to find out the count of each type. So you just type this function called table. There is a function called table. तो टेबल तुम लोगों ने बचपन पे यूज किया होगा ये वर्ड व्हेन यू जस्ट डू ऑल दोस कैलकुलेशन और काउंटिंग मेमोराइजिंग दोस थिंग्स. तो ये 10 का टेबल बोल दो, 5 का टेबल. सो बेसिकली दिस टेबल इज आल्सो डूइंग समथिंग. यू जस्ट टाइप iris of species. So basically it will show you in the species variable how many different categories are there, and under each category how many counts are there. Do you see in the output now?
Yes, sir.
So this is very useful command, table of this. So here you have only 3 categories and you know this data set well. So when you're looking at a data set for the first time and you have, let's say, some 4, 5, 6 categories, you do not know which category is more prominent in the data set, which category is very, very predominant. So you can get an idea like this, because you have 1 crore 10 million data point and you do not know, you cannot like scroll and see the data. So this is a very handy function. You should all remember this. This is about the categorical part. This can also be done for numerical part. You just do this for sepal length, see what is happening. Iris dollar sepal length. Can you explain me what is happening?
So it is segregating the setosas and versicolor and virginicus values different.
No, I don't think so. There is no such segregation here. It has no such information. इसको कहाँ से मिल रहा है ये information? Can you tell us what basically we have given in this line?
So total number of values like 4.3 only one time, 4.4 3 time, 4.5 one time, like that.
Right. So क्या हो रहा है उसमें like that?
So count show कर रहा है.
Yes, count show कर रहा है और kind of frequency show कर रहा है of each unique values. So there are total 150 values. Out of 150, it is showing जैसे कि ये 5 sepal length 5 है 10 बार, 5.1 sepal length 9 times are there. So these are something good to know. So many times these are helpful, but this is here it is not helpful. Sometimes this you can check कि अच्छा which values are repeating more. So this table command are helpful. ठीक है, done. So I'm going back to that summary thing just to see in the output. Now coming to this numeric parts. So can you see all mean, median, this thing? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So can you see this mean, median of all individual variable, numeric variables?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What is your observation with respect to the mean and median for sepal length? What is your comment here? When you say something is a mean, suppose, let me see what you have understood from your stats class or as a statistics part. So your class strength, let's say some 80 of you are there. Now you are, I'll ask, okay, somebody will ask, tell you, okay, the average or the mean height of the students in this class is 5.8. So what is your intuitive understanding from this statement?
Most of the students' height lie at around 5.8.
That's most of the student. Okay. Any
Sir,
other?
average height we can call it.
हाँ वो तो हम भी वही बोले आपको कि average height is 5.8 and I asked to know something further and you just tell the same thing. अच्छा all student height far near to 5.8. अच्छा. So what intuitive understanding, some information are you getting out of this, some information, or this is just a number? Information तुमको लगा अच्छा सारे majority of students are in this area. Okay. So what is next? What actually you are getting, by the way, in your mind? हो गया तुम्हारा स्टार्ट्स का, you are all A star in starts, नहीं? Remember, this is a relative thing that your mind is calculating immediately. When you say your height is average height is 5.8, quickly you are trying to get some idea. अच्छा 5.8 के आसपास है इस बैच के, तो it's average kind of जो इंडियन पॉपुलेशन एवरेज हाइट होते हैं, तो उसी के आसपास गुड साइड ऑफ दैट एवरेज है. So that is how you are sensing this number. It's not only sticking to your brain कि हाँ 5.8 ठीक है, कुछ नंबर होगा 5.8. Are you doing like that? कल की डेट पे तुमको बोला जाएगा कि अच्छा इस बैच के एवरेज मार्क्स आया है इस बार 92. क्या आ रहा है तुम्हारे माइंड में? ठीक है, मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स आर हैविंग 92, बट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली द इंट्यूटिव थिंग यू हैव इन माइंड? यू स्टार्ट थिंकिंग कि हाँ कुछ अच्छा परफॉर्म किए हैं, सब लोग अच्छा किए हैं और अच्छा मार्क्स आए हैं, कुछ इस तरह सोच रहे हो कि नहीं? अगर 92 बोलूंगा, और मे बी टुमारो आई विल टेल एवरेज मार्क्स बच्चे के सब आए हैं 43. व्हाट इज योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग नाउ?
Most of the students are scoring less.
सो बेसिकली लेस वर्ड आएगा
So the average say
because we are immediately getting it in a relative term. Yes or no?
yes sir.
तो because of some prior information that we have, हमने सोच लेते हैं कि चलो 43 मतलब इतना अच्छा नहीं है, 92 मतलब अच्छा है. So this idea you are getting ultimately from this average number. It's not think कि only that ठीक है सबका total करके average बना दिया, but ultimately we are sensing in an intuitive sense, अच्छा the height of this population. तुम कल की डेट पे कोई आलन का जाओगे, मार्स में कोई है तो उन लोगों का तुम हाइट मेजर करोगे एंड विल फाइंड कि चलो द एवरेज हाइट ऑफ दोज आइलैंड्स आर नियरली 4 फीट. तो तुमको क्या लगेगा, अच्छा वहां पे सब कुछ शॉर्ट हाइटेड टाइप के हैं. को आर यू इंटरप्रेटिंग इन दिस वे और नॉट?
Yes sir.
So ultimately this gives you this information which you are able to intuitively frame out from this mean data. Now you look at this thing 5.8, median भी 5.8 है, and you look at here petal length में ये 3.7 है और ये कुछ 4.3 है. So what information you can derive out of these two set of numbers? Sepal length and petal length. So let me do this only, so that your mind will not focus on many things. Sepal length and petal length. These two you have. Try to make some comment what you see from these two things. Set of numbers. Forget those quartile vertile. वो नहीं चाहिए अभी के लिए. I'm not discussing this today. फिर ये सब पूछूंगा तो तुम्हारा और स्टार पकड़ा जाओगे तुम सब. Just tell me this two set of numbers, mean and median for sepal length and petal length. Some comment on that.
Average value of the sepal length is more than the average value of petal length.
Okay, that is smart. ठीक है. Sepal length is more than petal length. Anything? There are two set of numbers. So I was trying to ask if you can make some comment with respect to these two set of numbers. Mean and median, comment on that. So mean and median are very nearly equal for sepal length. What does that mean?
They are not influenced by outliers.
Sir, median is the most. Means the difference, the average and the difference between all the factors are not very huge, sir. Both are near the mean.
Difference between all the factor. What all the factor difference not huge?
The data, all the data, the mean, all of those are maximum. Those are near the mean value, sir.
Maximum are near the mean values.
Yes, sir.
तो इसलिए मीन मीडियन सेम हो गया, बराबर हो गया. Okay. Any other? It's a to some extent it's correct. Can someone tell us better way?
So I was saying that the middle value of all the 150 observations is nearly equal to the mean value.
Yeah, so that is what. अच्छा, only middle value is nearly equal. तो तुम जस्ट इसी को ही और वार्ड में बोल दिया. मीडियन का मतलब था कि मिडिल वैल्यू. All of you know that.
Middlemost value, yes, sir.
So what is actually intuitively again speaking, median is the middle value. That means if 80 student in your batch has an average height of 5.8, so middle वाला बच्चे का 5.8 है वही है. Is that the meaning?
Middle is a median means to that.
That is the meaning you interpret out of this median business. सबका स्टार्ट में ए स्टार है ना. ए स्टार मतलब ए प्लस प्लस. So that simply means 40 out of 80, they are above 5.8. 40 out of 80, they are below 5.8. That is rather you should think in this way. Now mean when you say 5.8, that simply means the distribution of data is like the average height is 5.8. Here also the distribution wise you found right now 40 students are beyond 5.8, 40 students are below 5.8. तो इसका मतलब the लगभग the distribution जो है how entire symmetric है. The answer simply here is symmetric. The way the data points are distributed for 75, the 150 flowers, the length of those 150 flowers are very symmetrically distributed across the median. इससे ऊपर जितने डेटा होंगे जिस तरह डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होंगे जितना भी स्प्रेड होंगे सिमिलरली इसका डाउन में भी उतना स्प्रेड होंगे. किसी का लेंथ अगर बहुत ही नीचे चला गया तो सिमिलरली इट्स सिमिलर नंबर 75 75. नाउ लुक एट दिस टू सेट ऑफ नंबर. 4.35 either 3.7. Just think 4.3 3.7.
So
What
the
is your
distribution is not symmetric.
what does that mean?
Median is more than the mean. So it will lie on the right hand side of the mean.
नहीं वो तो सीधा median is beyond like more than mean. But intuitive meaning क्या है? Try to explain that. How the data are spread. More important for us is now to look at the data distribution, how they are spread over a certain range. ठीक है. Now let me tell you. So this 4.3 जिसका median है, the same data but इसका mid point बता रहा है 4.3 but average length बता रहा है 3.7. इसका meaning है first of all 4.3 का meaning क्या हुआ कि 75 data point are below 4.3, 75 data point are above 4.3. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So this is how the length are distributed. But तो ये मीन कम क्यों हुआ? इसका मतलब हुआ कि those 75 below 4.3, are you understanding till this point? All those flowers below 4.35, all those 75 flowers जो below 4.3 है, getting till this point? Listening?
Yes, sir.
तो उनमें क्या है majority of flowers are of lower length. That is, it's dragging the mean towards lower value. तो इनमें इस तरह डेटा सेट पेटल लेंथ इज नॉट सिमेट्रिक ऑब्वियसली. 75 के ऊपर जो डेटा पॉइंट्स हैं they are anywhere closer to whatever, they are uniformly distributed, but the niche wala jo data hai, in this data frame, in this petal length wala data point, 150 out of 150 data point, more number of data are towards lower value. That is why the mean is pulling down lower than the median. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
These are the basic thing you should supposed to know from your term one. Anyway, so this is adding to your understanding. So obviously some majority of data are towards the lower range, that is just pulling down the mean. Similarly, अगर ये upper range पे data होते, तो it would, the mean could be higher than median. But ऐसा नहीं है. So this is what we understood here. Try to just intuitively frame this thing in your mind before coming to this class, and also look at this, what is that first quartile, third quartile, and all the meaning of this, and again representation of this. I'll show you in a plot whatever we have talked today. I'll show you in some sort of visual mode. So with this we are done. Section C. Chalo, quickly try to mute and unmute when your name comes.